Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. This is Brenda again for another great episode of I Am Patient. And today is extra special for me because I've got a guest here who I hope that you fall in love with as much as I have. So let me tell you about today. We're going to talk about exercise and fitness and the importance of it in your life. I think we all know this. Now, whether we do it is kind of another thing, but the importance of it in our life, not only for people living with a chronic condition or that may have a disability, but also for the aging process, making sure that we have stability and flexibility. And I know for me, can stay active and do the things that my mind tells me I can do, but my body was going, wait a second. So again, I want you to just give a warm welcome to Libbey York. Hi, Libbey.
Hi, how are you?
I am good and I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
And if you guys haven't figured it out by now, Libbey is the owner of Alive Fit Coaching. And you can find that at www.alivefitcoaching.com. We'll put it on the website. And she has been my virtual, although we have seen each other in person in the safety of a bubble a couple of times. But she's been my savior during COVID and has helped to get me fit with a Pilates practice. So I think she's just absolutely the best, and I hope you do too. So, Libbey, let's get into this.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, why you transitioned to, sort of your passion. I know your father has Parkinson's disease, so give me a sense of how you went from teaching school to teaching fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I went to school to be a middle school science teacher, and I absolutely loved teaching. When I was little, I used to make my siblings play school. So I was kind of this, I was going to be a teacher in some capacity, followed the traditional route. And then once I had my two boys, I was staying home and I was going to the gym. Fitness has always kind of been a passion of mine. And I was taking this one class, and it was a yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates fusion class. Just felt really good, and it kind of resonated with me. And I asked the instructor, I said, "What do you have to do to get certified in this?" And she said, "You go to training." And my fellow fitness instructors who may be tuned in know that fitness instruction is kind of like an addiction for your certification. It's like get one, you have to get more. So I went and I did that, and I was just teaching a couple classes a week. And kind of you start to branch out and figure out what is your niche. And there's so many different trends in fitness, and so this, I really enjoyed bar. I got my certification in bar, my group exercise, cardio type of class, which I cannot grapevine to save my life. So cardio was a no-go. And then from there, yoga. I had my 200-hour certification in that, and then went for my comprehensive 500-hour certification in Pilates. And I really, really appreciate the Pilates practice because, you can be creative with it. You can get a little bit of a cardio component to it. But at the end of the day, it's the strength and the flexibility. And I just really enjoy coaching people like yourself, and seeing different results. And results are can be different for people across the board, whether it's a physical result that they're looking for or something a little deeper than that as well.
Yeah, I think so too. So a couple things that I thought was just unbelievable. I think it's only 400 hours to fly a plane and 500 hours to teach Pilates. So I know, and I can tell you, everyone, that when I'm, in all of these positions and doing all this stuff, I can see why. Now, I know for me, this is what I love. I think I want to tell everybody out there, there's things that you can do adaptive. There's things you can do on the floor. I'm personally purchased a reformer, and I'm doing a reformer practice. But what have you seen? I mean, maybe you could share a little bit about your dad, and what have you seen for people that are maybe going through, maybe they have a chronic condition or going through cancer treatment? I mean, how do you recommend that people sort of stay active when they don't feel like they can be active.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, regardless of where you are in life and what you're going through, and we all have something along the way, whether it is a chronic condition or, you sleep on your neck wrong. And there's ways that we can say, like, I just am not feeling good. I don't want to get up and do this. But that mobility component is so huge. When we do Pilates exercises, so many people say, oh my gosh, I've done this in physical therapy. And that's so true. A lot of the exercises are those foundational movements of things that you're doing in daily life, moving the shoulders and bending over and reaching up, and things that you want to be able to translate into your everyday life and not even really think about it. But if you train yourself doing it properly, then one, you're not at risk of injury, but also you kind of feel good doing it. And it's not all of those, oohs and owls along the way. So with my dad, when he was a management position in his career. Mm-hmm. And so he was stuck at the office constantly at the desk. He had this diagnosis of Parkinson's after some nerve issues. And he really decided to just kind of take hold of his whole lifestyle. And so revamped the whole nutrition component of his life, started, working out, plugging in. He has since retired from his career, but has now picked up a second career. He went and got his personal trainer certification. So he is now working with, other people to get them fit and, mobile in everyday life. And so it's great. Now, I will tell you, it's funny because we get together and he's like, you should try this core exercise. I'm like, you should try this core exercise. And Mom is like, stop, both of you.
That's great. That's great. Well, I can say, for me, again, I think I'm coming up on 6 months, which is hard to believe. I don't think I've stuck with anything longer than 6 months other than drinking wine. And everybody, the reason I still probably have some of this little chub left isn't because of my new muscles. It's because of the wine, but I digress. So what's your recommendation too? Because, hey, I'm not going to lie. There's days where, I love you, but I don't want to get up and see you. I don't want to go do my class. And then I think my husband and I've talked about this. Sometimes it's the art of showing up, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's important to have a kind of a relationship with the person that's, that you're taking a class from or that you're doing one-on-one with. Because I know with my disability, this morning, for example, my left leg was just not as strong as it always was. So being able to adapt, but still showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, especially with, the traditional way of working out, of course, was going to a studio or going to a gym pre-COVID. And for many of us, that's not an option anymore. And there are tons of online resources. You can plug into free videos here and there. Not to say that they're, what you're specifically looking for, but it's so easy that, a couple sets in, you're like, I'm done with this. Click, done, and turn it off. Mm-hmm. So the human connection and the interaction is so important. Not only with a live coach, we can have our eyes on you and tell you to tweak certain things. And even just this, you can probably attest, certain tweaks will make the world of a difference in a movement. But it is that accountability and that relationship factor, learning about your client, and it's motivating, for the client, of course, to see results along the way and have those aha moments or those cry moments. But it's also refreshing, and so encouraging for me as a coach to see progress. And I love being able to point out progress. And, especially when people haven't had that aha moment and they're like, you're right, I wasn't able to do that before. And now look, it could be as simple as something as I can raise my arm without my shoulder hurting,
Yeah.
Things like that. So
yeah. Libby's so sweet, but I tell you what she's referring to. So when I started this gang back in January, a plank is something that, you go down and you keep your back like a table. And I used because I have a bad wrist, I used my arms like this, and I couldn't hold a plank longer than 5 seconds. How sad is that, right? And recently, I think it was like maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I held the plank for over a minute and I just like burst out crying afterwards. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was such a great moment because, it's just something that I never thought I could do. And Libby was there to cheer me on. Well, tell me about this because we did meet in some, we were just talking. I think everybody's so sick of 2020. It's just this year where we have to keep reinventing ourselves and redefining, and COVID's flaring and then it's not flaring, and we're closed and then we're not closed. Tell me why you started Alive Fit Coaching. COVID sort of had a part of that.
It did. It did. So for me, I've never had the sit behind the computer office job. And so when, my studio spaces were closing and I was forced to be at home, and yes, I know all of the workouts to do. Did I want to do them? Absolutely not, because of everything going on. And I'm sitting behind the computer and I start to notice things like, my posture and my hips, and it wasn't feeling great. So for me, it was a wake up call. I got to get up. I got to start doing something for myself. And I did. I plugged in some workouts, and it was the motivation factor. It would last a couple days because it was like new and exciting. And then it was like, I'm over this. So the more I started talking to people, is the more, especially my other clients, is like, I miss seeing you. I miss your workouts. And, what can you offer? And sure enough, we created this platform in which we can do these virtual sessions in a safe space in the convenience of your own home. But now we have this live face-to-face interaction. So, it's the good morning with the coffee and how was your day? And
Yeah.
we get to business, and that connection that we so kind of crave as humans is still there while still kind of working along this fitness journey.
Yeah. And I'm surprised at how, because I tried before you, I tried watching the videos like on YouTube or there. And I mean, I couldn't look and do, and I don't know, I've never been good at multitasking, but I think not only the human connection, but yeah, hearing your voice, having you tell me, I don't have to constantly look at something. The instruction is so good that I can do it. And, and you can see, no, move your foot or turn that. So I know for me, I don't think that I could have been successful if I continued just with like pushing a video.
Right.
I didn't do it when Jane Fonda was doing it. Why would I do it now? Right. So let's just talk about, and I think that this happens with, people. So like I have multiple sclerosis, and there's times when, we go through periods of deconditioning. So like if somebody has an exacerbation or an attack, and if they were doing something and then they're not able to do something for a number of months, how have you helped people like myself or other patients sort of, kind of get back? I mean, it's not going to be, maybe where you left off at. So it might be that you're sitting in a chair. I mean, do you have some thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes along with the personal connection, is that, we can turn on the screen in the morning and see each other's face and say, this is not a good day. I've got this going on. And so we can kind of tweak the workout to be able to kind of create some more balance, working evenly, more things like mobility, say, as opposed to something a little more intense. Or some days where you wake up and it's like, all right, it's great. And it's like, well, let's try some fun new things. So I think that's the beauty of the interaction, as opposed to just turning something on that's been pre-recorded, is that your workouts can be specifically tailored for that reason. But yeah, I mean, you have to have a little bit of grace for yourself. I mean, I think we have these kind of expectations for ourselves that if we don't accomplish our goal immediately, then, it's, for us, it might be a definition of failure, and we have to totally retrain that thought process. And that the whole thing is a journey, and that, your journey may have, some side pathways to it. and you kind of accept where it is and maybe be kind of open to learning a little bit about yourself along
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
I think so too, personal growth. And I know that one of the things that you're doing with, your clients in your business is really like sitting down to sort of do this intake, if you will, or kind of this upfront. Because for me, while sure, I'd like to have rip muscles and be, 20 pounds less and all that. My goal when I came to you was to be able to walk up and down the stairs better. I mean, I had gotten to a point, I'll share this with everybody, that my husband and I took a trip to Israel last summer. And by the end of the trip, I mean, I thought I was ready to go straight to hospital. I mean, I could barely walk. I could not go up and down stairs at all. I mean, it was extremely, extremely bad. And I immediately chalked it up to MS. Well, yeah, part of it probably was MS because of the deconditioning that I didn't have, but like I never got back to it and sort of made up for that lack of control, muscle tone, strengthening like my hip flexors. And, when I started this, I would literally have to hold onto a rail, look, step one, step to the side. And, it was my aha moment. I've talked to you on the show before, guys, about my mom moving from the West Coast to the East Coast. And she wanted a picture hung in her house. This is like in May. And there was a stepping stool. And I just put my leg up, went up to the stepping stool. And then I went, oh my God, how did I do that? It was even bigger than a regular stair. So I think setting those goals. So I don't know, Libby, what do you think my next goal is?
Ooh, well, I know you have the ambitions of getting up on that reformer standing.
I do. I do. I do. Yeah, let's just hope it's a good day. Otherwise, when I'm on the show, they'll be seeing me with a bandaged head and broken arms. What what do you think, is the number one I mean, again, I think Pilates people think they have to have this reformer that I have and stuff. But like, what are some of the basic things for people to get started? I think stretching, flexibility. What kind of equipment do they need to have at home? What would be some of the things you would say to sort of get inspired, everybody, and feel like I'm feeling so good?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a slew of equipment that you can buy online, of course. You definitely don't need it all to get started. I would definitely suggest something like a set of light weights. But guess what? If you don't have a set of light weights, there's so many substitutes around your home. If you think about, water bottles or canned goods, those can substitute. I am a personal fan of a Pilates ball. It's kind of like a squishy playground ball. It's great for core stability, support of the low back when you're doing some core exercises, when you're down on the floor, as well as another prop that you can integrate. Not everybody can get a playground ball, so you can use something like a small throw pillow or something like that. So there's lots of ways to substitute at home equipment if you don't have immediate access, so that way we don't use that as an excuse to not get started, right?
Yeah. Yes, I know. We did have that excuse, and we've held water bottles, and my husband's joined a few times for a mat class. And, you know, just, I think he was like, wow, this is harder than I thought, or it's building a different kind of strength. He's a runner. Hey, if anybody's got questions for Libby out there, go ahead and type them in. My producer will hand them to me here. I think I see some coming. So if you have any questions or advice, I'm also going to ask her to demonstrate some stuff for us pretty soon. And she's got these, everybody I think that's done physical therapy has worked with TheraBands, but I know pretty soon on her website they'll be available for purchase, because she's sort of had some created that have a ring on the end of the TheraBand, which is a lot of the type of things I do with the ring, with the band, that has helped with my legs and my upper body. So let me check right now. Hang on, here comes the question. I'll take a sip of water while it comes over to me. Okay. All right, listen. Hi, Shaquita. This is, I think you joined us probably the last couple weeks. Awesome, awesome, awesome group of ladies that we had, the baddies that are all breast cancer survivors. And she wants to know if you've got any sort of advice for breast cancer survivors when it comes to exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just mobility for sure. So get up, get moving. Weather right now can be kind of iffy, but if you can get out and get the walks just to kind of get that oxygen flowing through the body. But yeah, I mean, for breast cancer survivors, of course, we want to keep that strength building. And it doesn't have to be this, huge muscle mass that we're going for. So things like very light weights with controlled range of motion. TheraBands are fabulous, especially, in order to work a range of motion while also kind of being protective of any of that scar tissue that you might have as well.
Yeah, for people that had reconstruction or, yeah, I would imagine so. Hang on, let's see, we got another one. So we've got a question about fees on the site, offer free trainings. So I know if people go to the website, the cost structure is there, and
Absolutely.
I don't know everybody. Maybe I'll pay Libbey for a free class, and we can
that would be
we can all do another what I am patient in the future, and we can all do something together. So, but if you want to learn more, again, go to alivefitcoaching.com. Libby, you just touched on something I was thinking about, with the breast cancer patients. If they've had reconstructive surgery, it's different, or maybe a lumpectomy. But I know that, kind of, at least for me in general, my upper body wasn't as strong, but that we're doing a lot of slow release. So maybe you could tell some of our viewers about that. So, like, when I started working out old school, it was do this quickly, bicep curls.
right.
You really have me hold and then go down so slow, and it's much harder. Why are we doing that? What's the benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime that you're, slinging weights around, most of the time it's just a momentum and you lose the muscle engagement with that. It puts you at risk of injury as well for your joints or kind of tearing something or tweaking something. So for the control slows it down and takes the momentum out of the movement, which one puts you in a much more body awareness. So you can feel if something doesn't feel right within your body, you can kind of catch it before it hits an injury point. But with that, you're building the muscle, you're controlling that negative movement, specifically saying those bicep curls, you're controlling the negative movement and then kind of creating that mind muscle connection to work back into that positive contraction.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing that I've learned. There is a mind muscle connection, and if I could just say one thing to everybody, it's the strength will come, but I'm telling you, I thought I was flexible until I've really been committing. I'm working out 4 times a week, and I can't believe the things, again, how I can bend, how I can move, that I didn't even think was possible, or I didn't even know that my body was supposed to do that.
Right.
That was the sad thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know my body was supposed to do that. Well, speaking of that, let's, any more questions right now? Okay. So speaking of that, everybody, let's have Libby take us through kind of, and there's so many. So maybe we will do an exercise class on this show. That'd be so fun.
Great.
So I know you've got, like, again, your prototype over there on the stairs. Libby's gonna walk back and take us through, again, just some easy things to do at home. So go for it, Libby, and
absolutely
talk us through.
I am a huge fan of TheraBands. And as I mentioned earlier, many of the exercises that you see with TheraBands are similar to what you would see in a physical therapist type of office. So they're movements that are good as far as being functional, kind of in your everyday life. This is the type of equipment where it's about kind of muscling and then that control return back as well. Mm-hmm. So lots of different resistance levels within. This is one happens to be a pretty heavy one. It's also latex free, so anybody who has those concerns, latex free bands are out there, which is a great thing. And then, as we mentioned before, you can hold your TheraBands, no big deal to get started with that, but they can get a little bit tiresome for the hands. So I've got these straps in development as we speak, which makes it a little easier to work through those movements. Yes. So all you would have to do is attach this to something like a banister or a door handle, and all of a sudden you've created yourself essentially straps that would be on a reformer or a nice little workout. So if you just could start standing, shoulders down and back, a chest expansion type of movement, you're simply pressing back and then bringing right back out in front of you. Now, it looks like I'm just moving my arms, and you guys can't quite feel it, but I have to zip everything up in my core so that I don't go flying into this banister here. And I know Brenda, that she engages quite a bit during our movements. Yeah, so lots of great exercises with this. You can turn around. Okay, simple way to hit some triceps. Okay, with the arms elevated and just kicking out from the elbows. The beauty of the resistance bands too is if I'm standing here and I'm like, I want to hit a little bit harder in that specific muscle group, you just get further away from your anchor point, and all of a sudden it becomes a little more challenging. Yeah. And then also, okay, not just for upper body, we can also take these straps and put them around the feet. Right, and now I can create some resistance to work lower body. So if I want to hit the glutes, nice little donkey kick, controlling that range of motion here. Shoulders down and back. That
so good.
It's great.
Will my butt ever look like yours?
You bet. So we love the strength component, but we also love the stretch because flexibility is just important as strength. Just a nice little mermaid stretch where you push away, a little overhead reach.
Yes, so good.
The areas I just showed you, stretch it out.
That's great. That's great. And there's so many more things you can do. And like you said, this is a very, very small investment, these bands. And again, I know you have some group classes, not just one-on-one training. And it's been absolutely life-changing for me. I tell you, I tend to, I share my personal things, but I don't always come on this program and share my personal things, but this has been so amazing for me. I thought I just had to have you on and had to talk to everybody about the importance of, again, these simple things. And I'll tell you, if you are not somebody that's challenged by a medical condition and you've got somebody in your house, I tell you, she'll kick your ass. So it is for everybody. I said, my poor husband, I don't want to embarrass him, but I tell you, he's super fit and he's been like, oh my God. So what about some final thoughts, Libbey, to leave us with today?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and it's been so great to connect with everybody. My final thought is, don't stand in your own way. Just get moving, whatever it happens to be. If you're sitting on the couch and it means you just kind of kick those legs out and take a nice stretch forward and arm circles, just get moving. And I guarantee you'll already start feeling better and hopefully motivated to get up and kind of, start small, add on. It doesn't have to be a big knockout, hardcore workout every day of the week, and work in progressions and just, give yourself some grace, enjoy, the different goals that you achieve along the way, and just, keep moving.
You're right. And enjoy the journey because you'll learn a lot about yourself. I have. So thank you, Libbey. You've been great. And I think we will have to have you back to do exercising. And that means I will have to put on some exercise clothes instead of a dress. So yes. But thank you. It's great. You are a wonderful person. And thank you for helping me on my journey to finally, in my mid-50s, be fitter than I've ever been. And to all of you out there, again, she's a wonderful person. So check out her website And, like she says, get moving because we have just this one life. And back to COVID, I'm also thinking the better that we can take care of our bodies and they can take better care of us. And it helps with your mind too, because this is this roller coaster of emotion that I think we're going to be on for a few more months. So go do something great for yourself, guys. So I think I will see you next Thursday. I'm pretty confident I will see you next Thursday. And until then, this is me, Brenda. Again, thanks, Libby. Wishing you the best of health.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Libs.
Thanks.
Great. See you tomorrow morning
At 8 a.m.
Bye, everybody.